Edmund Nielsen Woodwinds has been serving the double reed community for 70 years. Nielsen sells a wide variety of oboe, oboe d'amore, English horn, bassoon, and contrabassoon reeds and cane, as well as reed-making accessories, reed cases, and lafrex. And of course, they have the classic Nielsen wedge knife, which features a double hollow ground with a choice of handle size. In addition, they have many other knives available. Nielsen has long been known for their large Heckel bassoon vocal inventory. Fill out their online trial form to start a trial and find the perfect Heckel vocal for you. For all your double reed accessories, Nielsen is ready to help you.
Hey bassoonists, are you looking to ramp up your reed making? Well, Barton Cane has the solution for you. They offer over 60 variations of precision gouged, shaped, and profiled bassoon cane. Use coupon code FREE SHIPPING for orders over $150. This includes international orders. Go shop now at www.bartoncane.com. Hi, I'm Galit Kaunitz.
And I'm Jackie Wilson, and you're listening to Double Reed Dish,
a podcast for oboists,
bassoonists,
and the people who love them.
Jackie, you have some very exciting news.
I do have some very exciting news.
Oh my God. I have been keeping my lips zipped for way too long. Can you please just tell us, please?
I have accepted a position for fall 2020. I will be starting as the assistant professor of bassoon and theory at Washington State University.
Oh my God. Congratulations, girl.
Thank you. I'm super excited because I think we've mentioned on the podcast before, but I am Eastern Washington born and raised. So this position, it's not only professionally ideal because I get to focus on the bassoon now. I get to be at a research institution, which I've been really wanting, but also I'm 2 hours away from nearly all of my family and very close to basically everything that is culturally, personally important to me. And I get to go home. And for a lot of us in higher ed and in orchestral playing, music takes us far away, and that's wonderful. But we have to choose between significant amounts of time with our people and our art. And I don't have to do that anymore. And I'm very, very, very lucky.
That is so wonderful. I'm so happy for you and so proud of you. And when you told me, it's like the universe, it's wonderful. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. And you're touching on a point I did want to make sure to make, because without getting, too specific, I had a couple of no's that preceded this wonderful, very big personal yes that were very hard for me to take and bounce back from. And at the time, it was very hard for me to see the forest through the trees, and that you just have to be patient and keep working, and the opportunity that is meant for you will come. And so if someone's listening who is dealing with some no's and having a hard time with the rejection aspect of what we do, which is a natural but very tough part of what we do, just be patient, because even though it was very hard for me to not get those opportunities, it's only because I didn't that I got this one that is the most perfect fit I could conjure up in a lab. So hang in there.
It's the power of the universe.
And another thing I want to say, and I'm about to get on my soapbox, but I don't mind. What I'm leaving is a double reeds position. And I would just like to make the disclaimer, speak kindly to people who are working double reeds positions, please.
Yes, please.
Because I, over the past 5 years, have gotten some comments that were very undermining, hurtful, assumptive, and there are people like me who are working double reed jobs, working toward a different goal. There are some people who are working in double reed jobs because that's exactly what they trained for, and that's exactly what they want to do. And no one working a double reed job is less than, those who can do, those who can't do this. Let's just stop. I don't think that's necessarily a pervasive narrative, but it's one that I encountered a few very hurtful times. And so I am just going to say, let's put the kibosh. Everyone rules. Everyone who's on this path is doing their best. Let's just celebrate each other and not mess with each other's mojo. Okay.
And I think it's worth saying that anybody who has any kind of job in this field is a rock star.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Because, jobs are hard to get, and anyone who gets anything deserves props. So lots of love for all of the people, working and seeking work out there, because it's rough out there.
It is rough. There's more supply than demand. So, if someone's doing their thing, high five them, celebrate them, and only nice comments, please. Okay, there. I'll step off my soapbox now. What are we dishing about? Oh, wait. Well, how have things been for you?
Well, things have been a little bit cuckoo crazy. I just got in yesterday. My parents had a little bit of a family emergency, so I was in North Carolina for a few days, and things are on the up. Just, as you get older, you're going to have to wrap your parents in bubble wrap. Like, just get like an extra large roll and just wrap both of them up, get them nice and cozy. It's just been a little bit wild. My huge shout out to my mom, who is doing an amazing job recovering from a pretty bad fall. She is the strongest person I know, and it's watching her, go through pain, but also push through the pain. It's really inspiring. And, love your parents, keep them out of attics. No, we're very lucky. She's going to be fine. And it's another layer of why I'm so happy for you, because, you're so much closer to home now. I drove 12 hours yesterday coming back from North Carolina, and you get to be 2 hours away. And that is such a blessing. I think you're just going to have the most wonderful experience growing your roots back home.
Yes. I'm ready to kind of be in one place, and I'm happy. But, I don't know if you heard, but there's kind of this event going on in Iowa City.
Oh, really?
Summer.
What event?
Oh, maybe you've heard of it. It's the 2020 International Double Reed Society Conference in Iowa City, hosted by the University of Iowa, my beloved alma mater, of which I am proud alumni.
Don't get her started about the Hawkeyes.
I have so much love for that school, and I know that Ben and Courtney are going to put on the most fire conference ever. I'm so excited to go.
Flames. Yes.
And so we thought it would be a cool dish topic to talk about our favorite IDRS conference memories.
Well, I want to hear yours, and I hope that I'm in them, Jackie. There's a wrong answer here.
Well, I'm thinking, how many did I go to? And I've been to, I believe, 3. No, 4. That's right. I've been to 4. I played in that ill-fated Frank Morelli masterclass at the University of Oklahoma, where my shirt burst open.
LOL.
I believe that's episode 3. If you don't know what I'm referring to, I'm not going to relive that story again. Thank you very much. So I don't think that was my favorite. And then I was at IDRS Redlands, and it was a very short trip in and out. I didn't get to quite enjoy. So I think my favorite would be 2015, I believe it was, in Columbus, Georgia. Was that 2015?
Yeah, that was 2015. That was my first IDRS ever.
It was for all intents and purposes, it would have been mine, because it was the first time that I just bought a full 5-day pass, stayed, and allowed myself to really enjoy the conference as a whole. Not just, I'm going to go in and do what I'm here for and then leave. I made it a point to talk to people, hang out, really spend time in the vendor area, watch people perform. I was really a attendee at the conference the first time, and the amount of just inspiration that you get when you're there, the new friends that you make. It was like, oh, this is why everyone says it's magic, and so exciting. And so I think that 2015 conference and just kind of getting that whole experience in the big picture is kind of my favorite. I know that's not very specific, but sorry.
Sorry about it.
Sorry. What about you?
Well, like I said, the 2015 one in Columbus was my first one, and not only my first one attending, but my first one performing at. And I got to perform with you and our friend Corey Mackey, and it was just the most wonderful. It was just wonderful to do that with you guys, because we're so close, and it was just really special. And I just love those conferences for all of the different people that you get to meet and develop friendships with and put the faces to the names and the reputations. And, that was my favorite part, was playing and then like meeting people, says the extrovert.
Well, that's what I will say is there's a great vibe to IDRS where even for those of us more introverted, it's such a friendly, welcoming environment that it is easy to meet new people and converse. And I just find it to be a natural, friendly, kind of organic environment, which is awesome. Because what I've heard is other instruments do not have the same experience. I'm looking at you, flutes.
I will also say that last year, 2019 in Tampa was the next one that I went to. And I also convinced my student, Erin, to volunteer. So I actually got to experience the conference through her eyes. And she was able to perform in a couple of master classes. And it was so cool to see kind of everything for the first time again, and to go to the concerts and like look for her in the audience and imagine like, oh my God, she's getting to see Sherry Seiler live.
Yeah.
Like she's getting to see Catherine Needleman live. Like it was so cool. And also she brought me coffee every single day. Erin, my queen, I will be forever grateful.
Oh, yes.
Because I wouldn't have made it. So of course, this is not all about us. Jackie.
Oh, forgive me.
And we asked our listeners what some of their favorite memories are of IDRS conferences. And we got this beautiful one from Emily Prohaska, and it came even with a picture commemorating the moment. Emily says, I bought my Fox 601 at the 2014 conference in New York City. My teacher at the time, Dr. Kristen Schillinger, helped me select it. I remember moments after the final decision. I was so excited. I think we both teared up a bit. And then on our Facebook feed, you can see this photo of Emily just looking so deliriously happy with her new bassoon. It's wonderful.
I got my bassoon at the Redlands conference as well. And it is just going around and trying a bunch and then finding your voice and getting to walk away with it. Oh, that's an awesome feeling.
We got another submission from Sean Reynolds. It was Banff 2002. I had intended on playing in the small group reading sessions, which were a blast. I had only brought my English horn. Mr. Kilmer, Richard Kilmer, was assigned to our group of 4 for 2 sessions. He needed someone else to play oboe instead of English horn, so on the spot lent me his personal oboe to play for 3 days of the session. He didn't know me from Adam. What a kind, wonderful, amazing teacher he is. I learned so much from him over those 2 sessions. I ended up playing the larger double reed choir on oboe as well, using his instrument. Embedded in my memory were his generosity and musicianship. What a beautiful tribute. Thank you, Sean.
I'm sorry. I think that's the coolest story ever.
That is so cool. Excuse me, world famous pedagogue. Can I borrow your horn?
Yeah. That's like the making of conference legend. Like, that is just the coolest experience. On Instagram, Rachel says, IDRS 2011 got me my first job. I couch surfed at an ASU student's apartment who years later introduced me to another oboist who, through a funny series of events, got me work in a professional orchestra abroad. I'm really thankful for these conferences. Well, I should say so. And so is your electric bill that you get to pay with the oboe. Thanks, IDRS.
That is such a success story. That's amazing.
And Nancy Belmont says, last year's conference, IDRS 2019, for me, since it was in Florida where I grew up and went to college, my middle school, high school, college, and grad school bassoon teachers were all in attendance for the recital I gave. That was so special for me. I should say so. That's phenomenal. I don't know if anyone really gets that experience typically. That's super special. And I was at that recital and she found it awesome. So.
Oh, yeah. Same. Ugh. Nancy, that's beautiful.
So as you're listening is the final day of our IDRS giveaway, because these experiences are so amazing that we want our listeners to be able to experience IDRS 2020. We don't want to just keep these memories for ourselves. We want to make some memories this summer.
That's right.
Be sure to, if it's before 5 o'clock, you can still submit really quickly when this episode is released. Otherwise, check out tomorrow, Monday the 2nd, when we will announce the 2 winners of our IDRS giveaway who get to attend on our dime, at least in part.
Help us help you. Send in those submissions. We can't wait to read them.
Cool. We'll see you in Iowa City and smell you later.
Smell you later.
Chemical City Double Reeds is a full-service double reed shop specializing in the sale of instruments, cane, accessories, and sheet music. Double Reed Dish listeners can enjoy free shipping with code DRDISH. Visit them in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or online at www.chemicalcityreeds.com.
Do you have the empty reed case blues? Well, luckily for you, Singin' Dog Double Reeds is an online double reed shop and one of the largest suppliers of high quality and affordable professional and student reeds for oboe and bassoon in the USA. Please visit us at www.singindog.com to see all of our products and fill up that reed case. We are absolutely thrilled to welcome Sophie Dervaux, Principal Bassoon of the Vienna State Opera Orchestra and the Vienna Philharmonic. Welcome, Sophie.
Thanks. Hi.
I would love to start by asking you how you started playing the bassoon.
That's a good question. I actually started to play the guitar and then the clarinet. And while playing the clarinet, I just met some bassoonists and I found it really cool. And I have a little brother. He wanted to start an instrument and he asked me to come with him to a bassoon presentation. And I tried the instrument and I said, okay, I want to learn it. And it was about 15 years ago, long time ago.
So how did you become serious about the bassoon? Can you talk us through your educational journey as you were embarking on becoming a professional?
Yeah, so I started at the age of 12 and actually quite soon I just wanted to learn it really well and maybe to make it my profession. I think when I was 16, 17, it became really, really serious and I started to study. And since then, yeah, it was clear I want to be a bassoonist. I studied in Lyon with Carlo Colombo 3 years, and then I went to Berlin to study at the Karajan Academy of the Berlin Philharmonic and to study at the university in Berlin with Volker Tessmann. After that, I won the audition for contrabassoon at the Berlin Phil. I did 2 years there, and then I applied for the position at the Vienna State Opera, and in 2015, and since then I played there.
I would love to hear about your experience in winning your job, the process that you went through in preparing, and also just the experience in achieving that.
I'm a bit crazy, so if I prepare something, I just do it full. fully. I'm sorry for my English. I just try.
No, your English is perfect. We're sorry for our French.
No.
Better than mine.
Try to express myself. Let's see. Both time I really wanted to win an audition. I just prepared the same way, like really 1 month without doing anything else, or just if I had to make some concerts, I did, but just focus on the audition, and I had nothing else in my head. So it was really just practicing and sports and eating, and that's it. Maybe I practiced like 6 or 7 hours a day for 1 month. I can't do it more. You become crazy. So it was really only for 1 month, 3 weeks to 1 month. And then I focused mostly on the orchestral excerpts. I mean, in Europe, you always have Mozart to play, sometimes Weber, but this is something I knew from my studies. But the orchestral excerpts, I think this is really the most difficult thing, and I just spent hours and hours to practice it, to be sure to be the best as possible for me on the D-Day. And I also did something, maybe it helped. I just listened to the recording of the orchestra I was applying to have an idea of the sound and to know the ways they play. And so for Vienna, for example, when I prepared the audition, I was just listening recording from Vienna Phil 1 month before, and nothing else, just to try to play in the style. And Berlin, it was a bit easier because I was in the academy before, so I knew a bit more what sound they expect and everything. Yeah, but I don't have any secret. Sorry.
It's amazing how that works. What was the audition day like? Could you talk us through that process of, the rounds and?
Yeah. I was invited directly to the main audition. I don't know how it works in the US, but in Europe you have pre-selection audition and you have the main audition. The pre-selection is for students or people who have a position, but not really a good one, or not the same level as the position they want to have. And on the main audition, you have professional and people who have really a good position. Yeah, the pre-selection was about, 40 people, and they played 3 rounds. And the next day, it was a main audition. I came directly to the main audition. I think we were like 15 people playing 4 rounds. I can't remember exactly what I played, but Mozart I played for sure, and a lot of orchestral excerpts. I remember it was at 9:30 in the morning, and I thought it's 9:30 the meeting point, but it was the beginning of the audition, and people were supposed to come earlier, and I came at 9:30, and I took the number 2, so I had to play really, really fast. But actually, it was really good because I had a few minutes to warm up, and then I played, and it was better for the head, I think. Not so much stress at the beginning, and then the stress came.
In the waiting.
The winning, I couldn't believe it. Actually, we were all the finalists in a room, and then someone from the staff came to us and said, "Okay, the jury decided to take someone," and he told me that I want to audition just in this small room with these 4 other finalists. And I remember I was there, and I just say, "Oh, I have to hug someone. Please give me a hug." A finalist, Clemens, but we said, "Okay, just come," and I give him a hug. And I didn't know him very well, but since it was a nice moment. And then I went to the audition hall where the big jury was waiting, and they did an official announcement, but they saw me came in and they said, "You already know." They could see it on my face, and I really couldn't believe it. I was not expecting that at all. So it was, yeah. And then I remember when I called my husband, I just said yes, and he was like, "No."
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was at the beginning really a horrible day, audition days. It's just horrible for everybody, and then at the end it was really nice, but it's a bit confusing, all the feelings together.
I would love to ask you a follow-up question about your preparation leading up to the audition day. You said there are no secrets, there's no magic. You practiced your butt off. I would love for you to say more about what that entailed. What kind of practice did you do?
Yeah. First, when I start to practice, it's always the same thing, not only for the audition, but I really like the low practicing because I like to fix everything in the details and quite relaxed, so really slow. Yeah, I had something like 20 orchestral excerpts, and I did 2 really, really like crazy in one day, and there was one I just played it then every day, of course, but not really in details. And I did a lot of metronome practicing, for example, for all the fast stuff, just to be sure I play perfectly clean. I did a lot of tuner, also just to play to have the perfect pitch, and I think intonation is really good. It really matters. So basically, I just started my day with Mozart because I was sure Mozart can come first or second round, so it's really important. And I tried to play it really perfectly 3 times in a row, just to be sure I can control everything. So you can take a piece and maybe 1 minute piece and play it 3 times in a row. It's amazingly difficult, actually, to get it perfect. You always have something happening, a slur's not working or a tone not coming. Always small details, and I tried really to do it perfectly 3 times in a row. And sometimes you need 80 times, 90 times just to get this 3 times in a row. But it's really a good training, I think. And then I did the same thing with the orchestra excerpts. So practicing in detail 2 excerpts maximum a day, and just playing the other ones.
That sounds like a really slow and intense process.
Yeah. That's why I needed 1 month, because basically you always know the pieces. Yeah, I think if you ask any students in master somewhere, he already practiced all the orchestral excerpts and Mozart and Weber. So it's about to be perfect and to be the cleanest as possible. Yeah.
My follow-up has to do with after you won your position, I bet it was very surreal to walk in as principal bassoon of the Vienna Philharmonic one day. And I'd love to know about actually doing the job. What does your day look like, and what are some of the things that you've learned having this position?
I learned a lot, really. I learned so much about the sound, about the control of the bassoon. If I take a question from the beginning, yeah, it was completely surreal, but I had few months to digest it before I started, because the audition was in May and I started on the 1st of September. It was a big step also because I'd never played first bassoon before, so maybe a few gigs, but actually not really seriously, and I didn't have any experience. So I learned so much about playing first bassoon in the few months of my contract, and then I'm still learning a lot because I'm surrounded by so many great musicians, and sometimes I hear the clarinet playing a solo, and I think, okay, how does it do that? And it's amazing, or the flute or the concertmaster. And I'm always learning, and especially in this orchestra, I think, because we have a big tradition and really a specific way to play things, you never stop to learn. Really, it's every day. Specifically on the bassoon, you have to know when you mix. For example, when you are just part of the harmony, or you are just in the bass group with bass and cello, or you have a solo position and you have to come out. It's difficult to get at the beginning when you have your music there, and you have to analyze a little bit. Okay, where am I a solo instrument? Where am I an harmonic instrument? Where am I a bass instrument? And this at the beginning was a little bit difficult for me to understand. Also in the harmony, do I play the bass or I am in the middle? It's a really different way to play, and this is something I learned in few months. It's not coming really fast, actually. Mm-hmm. because you understand the way the orchestra works and the way the music is written. Then you learn a lot about the sound, because sometimes you have to mix. So in Mozart, for example, you have a lot of solos with the oboe, and you play the octave, and you're supposed to support the oboe, but if you play too much, then you are not mixing anymore. Also about the sound, because sometimes oboe bassoon or clarinet bassoon, this is 1 + 1, and it should sound like 1. And this is a new instrument. It's not bassoon or clarinet. It is a new combination. I think it takes also time, because you have to know your neighbors. And I know my colleagues, and some of them have a little bit darker sound. Some of them is a bit brighter, and then you have to adapt. Also, the intonation is always different, and this is also really cool, because it's making the job really, really exciting, because it's never the same thing. You have always different people and different reactions. Yeah.
When we told our listeners that we were going to be interviewing you, so many had questions for you that they wanted us to ask, way more than we have time for. But I wonder if we can start to dig into those now. Stephen wants to know about your experience as a contrabassoonist in the Berlin Philharmonic and making that transition from contrabassoon to principal bassoon, and how those experiences have informed one another.
I think for me it was really a good thing to play contrabassoon first, because I can now understand my colleagues. I don't know. I know a lot of people who are just principal, and they start in principal, and sometimes it's a bit hard to understand the difficulties of the second bassoon or contrabassoon playing. And I think when you did it yourself, you have much more respect. On a technical aspect, to play the contrabassoon helped me a lot to have a sound a little bit rounder, to give more hair. And this was really good also to understand a lot about flexibility in the mouth and the opening and everything, because bassoon, you don't need to be so much open as on the contrabassoon, and on the contrabassoon you have to give a lot of warm hair and to be really open everywhere. And this is something I learned on the contrabassoon, and I keep on the bassoon.
Multiple listeners would love to know about your reed style.
I have to confess, I don't make my reed anymore. I buy it. I think it's 28 millimeters. It's a Tuneman form. I like when a reed is really flexible, but I need resistance. If the reed is too easy to play, it's really easy then to play piano and comfortable. But I can't have a good sound above mezzo piano, mezzo forte if I don't have any resistance in the reed. So I don't like it when it's too easy to play. I need really a lot of resistance. I prefer to fight a little bit to have really a good sound, to work more on the embouchure than to play the facility with an easy reed. So yeah, a lot of wood, some resistance, and not so open.
Dylan has a really cool question about if you feel that the ensemble changes between the Philharmonic and the opera, and if your playing adapts between these two settings.
I think so, yeah. First of all, because at the Philharmonic we have a lot of rehearsals, and at the opera we don't rehearse, so it's not the same level. You can't expect the same level of the orchestra when you get 5 rehearsals to a concert, or an opera without any rehearsal. The sound in the pit is also really different as on the stage, so the orchestra doesn't sound the same and automatically doesn't play the same way. Also, yeah, when you play in the opera, you are not really the main thing. The focus is on the stage, the focus is on singers, and the orchestra is just accompanying them, so it's not the same role. It's not so solistic. We are just there to make the singers happy and have the music, really. On stage, it's a little bit different because you have much more contact with the public, and this is more an exchange with the public. It's not only about the music, maybe. And the sound is also completely different. You can play much louder. But I think the orchestra sounds this way also because this is an opera orchestra. So all the musicians are used to accompany people, and it's not really solistic. It's really a group, a team working together to serve the music more than 1+1+1 serving himself.
Annie's question is, as principal of the Vienna Philharmonic, what aspect of your work do you look forward to the most?
Oh, concerts. Why it's difficult. I like a lot of things, but I think when I play a Mahler symphony or a big symphony, and I'm on stage in the music verein, I have a good conductor in front of me and beautiful audience, and every musician is just giving his best, and the orchestra is just sounding. It's not. I can't describe it. Yeah, there is nothing better than this feeling, and this is what I search always. I think the best aspect is this kind of concerts. Baddest one is traveling.
Actually, I have a follow-up about traveling. What are some of your experiences being a member of an orchestra that travels, having to deal with jet lag or changes in altitude?
Jet lag is horrible for me, definitely. I'm really bad at it. I always need to sleep a lot. We went to Asia last month, for example, for 4 weeks, and I'm still not recovered. It's not easy, but it's part of the job, and most of the time, the first concerts are really difficult. If you come somewhere and you have only one day to adapt, and then on the evening to play, it has to work, and it works somehow. I was amazed. 2 weeks ago, we did a concert in China, and we took the train on the morning at 8 maybe, and we arrived at the station at 3 p.m. We just had 1 hour in the hotel, and then we went to the hall and we rehearsed and we played on the evening, and the concert was amazing. And I was like, how does everybody to have such an energy? I was completely dead, and everybody just was on stage, and it sounded amazingly. I think you can find so much energy in the music.
Michaela would love to know about your approach to memorization. Do you have any strategies or tips that work especially well for you?
To learn something, I need to understand the structure. I have both visual memory and memory in my head. And I like to understand the structure. For example, if I take Jolivet now, I know I have 5 pages for the first movement. And visually, I know where the first movement starts. I know where the new tempo is coming. So I have a visual way to see the music. And then I start to understand the structure. Basically, it's always 8 or 16 or 32 bars. And I take parts. If you take a classical concert, Mozart, for example, you have the exposition, development, then you arrive on the F cadence, and then re-exposition going to the end. And to have this split in 4 parts, it helps me to understand. And then to learn it, I just take small passages and I just do it again and again and again. And after 50 times, normally it's in my head. Maybe for some music you need a little bit more, but I think if you play something 100 of time, it's in your head. When I play on stage, this is always my biggest fear, just not to remember what's coming next. Not a good feeling, but this is something we have to deal with. And for this, I always have visually in my head, I know where I am. So I know this is the second page, 3rd line, and I'm going to the 4th line, and 2nd page, I have 9 lines or something like that. I just really try to see it in my head.
Doug would like to know about your choice to play a Puchner bassoon and your experience in being a Puchner artist.
Yeah, I started to play first on French bassoon, but it doesn't count, 1 year. And then I moved to a Mooseman because the school had a Mooseman where I was learning. Yeah, and then I wanted to buy my first bassoon, and I tried a lot of different bassoons from everybody I met, and I tried Yamaha, Haeckel, of course, Puchner, Fox, Mooseman, and I was really attracted by the sound of a Puchner. I had really the feeling this is the sound I liked the most, and the flexibility I liked too. So I just, I ordered my first Puchner more than 10 years ago. And then, of course, in my career, I met a lot of people, colleagues also said, and Haeckel would be better, and you have to switch, and it will be better for the sound and everything, because this is, I don't know in the US, but in Europe, people say if you don't have an Haeckel, you can't get a job, or this is really what's the best. So I asked myself a few times, should I switch? Should I try it? And always when I tried, I said, okay, I like mine better because I'm used to it maybe also. And because of the sound, flexibility. Yeah, so I just decided to stay, and this is really an instrument I love, and I can do everything I want with it. So I don't see why I should change. And I like also the fact that I am not really doing like everybody else. I just found myself with this instrument. So I think that everybody should be able to play what he wants. And this is what I find so great from the IDRS, the convention. Every year you can just go and try everything and then have your own idea. It's not because your teacher is playing one brand that you have to play the same. It's really so personally.
I agree. And I think for a very long time, it has been the same in the US that if you are serious, you play on a Haeckel. But I think things are slowly changing.
You have to wait 11 years. Personally, I don't know what I'm doing in 11 years, but I don't want to spend 11 years playing and think, maybe someday I will have my new bassoon.
Right. And I think that's in part because of, people like you or people like Gustavo Nunez who are highly visible, who are making, independent choices about the instruments that they play and the sound they're wanting to achieve.
Yeah.
In a question related to equipment, Celine asks, did you begin with a French bassoon?
Yes, I did, but only a few months. I played 6 months, I think, 8 months. And then my parents moved in a new town. The teacher was a German bassoon teacher. And he said, if you want to learn with me, you just have to change. And for me, it was not a big deal because after 6 months, it's basically the same. So I told my parents that I need a new bassoon. And said, okay, let's ask the school.
Alex would like to know what advice you have for American bassoonists who would like to study or play in Europe.
To play in Europe, I think it's good to study in Europe, or at least to meet some people in Europe. I think the best way is to meet a teacher from Europe first, because if you have a contact in person, it's maybe easier to know if the teacher is good for you or not. Because if you go to study abroad in Europe, then you go really for 3 years at least, and you need to find the right teacher who suits you. I think if you want to work in Europe, if you study, it's easier, and then you have all this academy you can do, and this is really a good step in the career. If you get an academy job, then it's much easier to get an invitation. Because most of the audition in Europe works with invitation system. So if you have an audition, you apply, and it's quite difficult sometimes to get an invitation if you don't learn with a famous teacher or in a famous school or university, or if you won competitions. So I would suggest really to go once again maybe to the conferences from the IDRS, and you have a lot of European bassoonists there, and you can meet them and maybe speak about this.
Ritika had an interesting question. As one of the youngest principal bassoonists of the world's most renowned and oldest orchestral institution, have you ever encountered any situation in which you are expected to follow a certain style or tradition? And are you allowed to make certain changes according to your preferences?
I would say both. Of course, Vienna Philharmonic is really an orchestra of tradition. And I knew it before I started there. This is, I think, the most important thing for the musician here is to respect the tradition. But of course, we are not a museum, so we don't play everything like people did 80 years ago, 100 years ago, because it doesn't make sense. So this is always a balance between tradition and renewal. So I would say this is like we have rules we have to follow for a lot of things, but for a lot of things we are completely free. For example, when we play French music or Russian music, I just do really what I feel, because this is not really a traditional repertoire of the orchestra, and they always say French music. I know this better. And if I play Brahms or Schumann or Beethoven, really Mozart, this is really something specific in the orchestra. And of course, I just try to play as much as I can in the way of the tradition, because this is also what makes this orchestra really special. And if I say, okay, now I just do what I want, then it could destroy also a little bit this amazing sound and tradition of this orchestra. So there's always a balance between both.
We also had many listeners talk about how they view you as such a role model because you are a woman, because you are young, and because you are doing this position and being a soloist, and wanted to know, I guess, how you respond to being a role model, and you seem to have embraced that. Yeah, I did. Many of them wanted to hear you talk about being a woman and a younger person in the position that you have.
My goal is, the bassoon is such a great instrument, but it's not really on the same level for many people as a clarinet or a violin or a cello. And our generation has quite a responsibility to put the bassoon more in of every other instruments. It's not really, sometimes you say, I play the bassoon, this is what is it? Or even for music, okay, but it's just bassoon.
Right.
We have so much work to do to just put it in the right position. It is as good as a clarinet or a oboe or flute. And we also have the repertoire. Always I hear the same question. Yes, okay, but we don't have so much repertoire. What can you play? And then I just say every concertos we have, and people are amazed. I think we have to promote it. We have to make it more popular. And this is a responsibility of people who can do this. And I'm really grateful actually to be in the position to move a little bit something, and I just try to do it as much as I can with new pieces, but also just to promoting the repertoire we have, and to fight a little bit. Yeah, it's quite fighting actually for the instrument, but just I wish the best also for the instrument, and there's so much to do, and this is something we have to. And of course it comes then with a lot of different things.
Is this viewpoint part of what has inspired you to embrace the internet and technology? You post a lot of videos, and I think many fellow musicians feel connected to you because of that. Was that your motivation?
Yeah, it was indeed really my motivation. I was at the beginning really against everything I did on that Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. I didn't make recording. It was just, for me, music was really something alive. And then I realized, okay, but if I want to move things and also to move my career, it's not only just about the bassoon, but it's also in my interest. This is a little bit the way the world worked now. And I studied it, and I noticed the power of this. It's really a good tool. If you use it properly, you can do really a lot of things. And that's why I just started with videos, and because I want to share with everybody. And maybe if I inspire some people, then I'm really, really happy about this. It's quite the goal, actually, to share and to live together with the instrument.
What is your favorite memory of a past performance?
After one concert, I met someone, and she just said, "You made me cry," and I don't know why, because I felt happy. Yeah, maybe was a great moment, because this is exactly what I was trying to do. It's like, I would say maybe 8 or 10 concerts a year. I don't know why. I just feel completely different, and then it's an amazing feeling on stage, and this is special. But I don't know why these concerts are special.
I would anticipate that your life is very busy, and that you have to make the most of the practice time that you have. Could you talk to us about practice habits, if you have a particular warm-up system that works for you? What does the day-to-day practice reality look like for you?
I'm I'm not so consequent anymore. I play every day, or mostly every day, because I play so much. So I'm fit anyway, because I play 4 or 5 concerts a week. I'm always in good shape, so I don't need to practice so much and make so much exercises. Basically, I just practice what I have to practice for the next concert or next week, next month, and I just deal with the time I have. I'm not doing so much exercises anymore. Sometimes I have the feeling I should, because in the details it's controlled. But basically I just have to practice as much as I can when I have time, and it's really often not enough. But I don't know, maybe if I give examples, tonight I have an opera. I will go earlier and I will practice it for 30 minutes just to check everything. I know it already. But on the morning I practice the concerto for next month, and maybe on the afternoon I have to practice a little bit on the chamber music I have next week, and so on. And sometimes I just say, okay, today I just don't do anything. But I don't have a regular basis of practicing, because it's just I deal with the programs I have to practice. Earlier when I studied, it was of course 2 etudes a week and a lot of exercises and 1 concerto, and was really always the same thing. But now it's a bit difficult.
Could we maybe have you talk about some of the pieces that you've commissioned and your experiences in that?
Yeah, sure. I had for solo bassoon, I had with piano, I had with orchestra. Yeah, it's two different things. Sometimes you just work with a composer and he's open mind, and then you can change a lot of things, or you can just show what's working on the bassoon, what's not working on the bassoon. And sometimes I had composers who were just writing something and sending to me, and I was saying, yeah, but this is not playable, and okay, like this. So it really depends on the composer. Some of them are really interested to learn about the instrument. Some of them just want to write something and not read. It's always surprising me, but I like to do this job. Of course, it's a lot of time, and now I receive more and more new compositions, and sometimes I just can't deal with everything, because if I get a new score, I need maybe 20 hours to understand it, to practice it a little bit, to really understand the music, and that's why I can't do the work with everything I get. So sometimes I just get messages from composers and they send something, and I can't work on it. But I try to work with composers I know, and really on a specific project. I will do in 3 weeks a new composition, for example, with orchestra, and work with the composer himself. And this is interesting. But if you just get the piece and then have to play it, it's a bit not so interesting for me then.
When you feel overwhelmed or like you have just way too much on your plate, where do you get your inspiration, and what kinds of activities do you do to refill your well, so to speak?
I go in the woods.
Oh, nice.
I do it quite often. This is something really I need, and I know myself now. I know really when I need it, and I don't want to practice like crazy. It's not anymore. I really need this, and this is something I do. It's really important for the nerves also.
Do you experience nerves and performance anxiety, and how do you deal with that? I know you just did the Rite of Spring like 200 times or something. Did that get easier over the course of the tour?
Yeah, at the beginning it was like, okay, this is the first time, but the second time will be easier. And then when I do it for the last time, I will really enjoy it. And I wasn't. It was always, I enjoyed it, of course, but it was always really, really stressful. And it was not less and less. It just stayed. Maybe because of my expectations, and I wanted to make it really as perfect as I can. And then I know if I'm not really stressed and really focused, concentrated, then it's for me not a good sign, because I think it means I don't care so much and then I don't play so good. So I know I have to be focused. And yeah, this is stressful. Or I have sometimes performances, I don't know, because of one people in the hall, and then I just react completely differently. I mean, stress is not always there, but mostly there, and something I learned to deal with. But I would be afraid if I don't have it anymore. It's would not be normal.
So do you have any advice for, say, some other musicians listening on how to deal with that? Because the expectations for you are very high, and that would be a whole nother thing to deal with.
Yeah, I think everybody is different, so I'm not sure I can really help. But for me, what works is to be over prepared. I know if I practice like crazy, I know, yeah, but can always something can happen. But if I practice like crazy, I'm safe. And then I just have to convince myself, yeah, you practiced, so you're safe. So just believe in you and just go. And that's why it works. I think really practicing is for me the only key, and maybe to imagine the situation before helps.
Do you have time to listen to music for fun? And if you do, what do you listen to?
Everything. For fun, mostly in my car. I just listen to the radio and then I listen everything. At home, I like it when it's silent, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it when I don't have any noise and music. It feels good for my brain. I don't know why. Just resting. I don't like to listen music for if I don't listen really. So I prefer silence or listen, but really listen then.
We discussed earlier kind of how hard traveling can be as a musician, but on the flip side of that, where are some of your favorite places that you have been to by being a musician?
I love New York, really. I think 4 or 5 times there, and it's always amazing. I couldn't live there probably, but I like the energy and the activity, and feels amazing. I also like Japan. At the beginning, was not big fan, but I just go and go and go, and then I meet more and more people. I love the people there, and also the big cities like Tokyo. It's just something amazing. I don't know. I went in so many places, beautiful places in Norway, for example, in small village in the snow, and this was also amazing. Or in Argentina in the mountains, and yeah, I feel really lucky because I saw so much things. But at the end, it's always a pleasure to just go through my door and be at home.
You're also very active as a soloist, as well as in your positions in Vienna. And we had another listener question that asked if you have any plans to record like an album or something like that.
Yeah, I had so many plans and always get reported, but I'm sure it will come soon, and I'm working on it now, so I think it will. It's just a matter of time, but I feel now in a good shape, and I think this is the right moment to do it. Earlier, I was a little bit afraid because, when you do a recording, then it's there and you can't change it, so you have to be happy. And I think now I'm ready, and yeah, I'm working on it right now, so I can't say anything, but I hope it will come soon.
Awesome.
We do too. What advice would you have for a young musician who would like to have a career like yours?
You need so much luck and so much practicing. Maybe to not have so much expectations and then see what's coming. Because if you really want something and you don't get it, then it's so difficult, really. So many people, so few possibilities and so much luck. Just wait and see and practice. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for doing this with us. We really appreciate your time. To close, we would love to hear about things coming up, say in 2020, that you are looking forward to or excited about.
For a lot of stuff. Next month, I'm playing a Beethoven trio with Daniel Barenboim and Emmanuel Pahu. So this is something I really expect, because to play with Barenboim German music I never did, and something quite amazing, I think. I'm also making the premiere of a double concerto next month in France, so this is something I really expect to. So much concertos. I play Hummel also in Germany, and a lot of nice concerts, and hopefully a recording.
Sophie, thank you so much.
Thank you for the interview, and sorry for the English.
What are you talking
Your English is wonderful.
That interview was amazing. For the next one, you can find us on all of our social media. We do a ton of, notifying and advertising, and sometimes Jackie will even post hilarious videos of me being ridiculous. So go to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email us at doublereaddish@gmail.com. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud,
Stitcher.
I always forget that one. And we love to hear from you. So especially all of you who listen all the way to the end. Thank you so much. Hello. Jackie, who do we have coming up next?
On next episode, we will be featuring an interview with Dudu Carmel, principal oboe of the Israel Philharmonic Orchestra. Galit, it's time to end this nerd parade.
Jackie, you have a great job, but go make wreaths anyway.